They didn't stop walking until they reached the bright, noisy edge of the main road where streetlights fought off the darkness and Okada riders shouted for passengers. The familiar chaos of Lagos felt strangely comforting, as if the noise itself formed a protective barrier between them and whatever waited inside the trees. Zainab held Tunde tightly, her fingers digging into his arm as if he might disappear again if she let go for even a moment. He leaned heavily against her, trembling, his breath shaky and uneven. A neighbor draped a wrapper around his shoulders while another pressed a bottle of water into Zainab's shaking hand. "Drink small," a woman urged. "You day shake." Zainab nodded but barely heard her. Her eyes kept darting back toward the dark entrance of the railway path. She expected to see that tall, grotesque figure staring back at her. But there was nothing. Only shadows. Her body refused to relax. Someone placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. It was Baba Khalil, the old man from their building. He bent low, his wrinkled face etched with worry. "My daughter, you enter there alone?" She nodded weakly. The old man shook his head. "God shield you." Behind him, more neighbors murmured prayers, disbelief, and fear. A crowd had begun to gather. Phones came out. People zoomed in on the railway path, taking shaky videos and whispering, "I swear I see something move. No be human. Na spiritual matter." Zainab felt anger bubble beneath her fear. Why were they taking videos? Why were they watching instead of helping? But then another voice cut through the murmurs. "Make she breathe first, Na." It was Mama Funk, the landlord's wife. She forced people back with her huge arms, creating space around Zainab and Tunde. Then she crouched and took both their hands firmly. "Tell me." "Wetting Eunice." Zainab opened her mouth but nothing came out. Words refused to form. Her throat felt tight, her voice trapped. She looked down at Tunde. He stared blankly ahead, eyes glassy, his fingers twitching slightly. She squeezed his hand. "Tunde. Talk to me. Please." He swallowed shakily. I didn't want to go." "Yes, you did," she cried, frustration mixing with fear. "You sneaked out. You left without telling me." "No," he whispered, a tear sliding down his cheek. "I didn't want to go. My legs, they just moved." Zainab froze. "What?" "I heard the whistle," he whispered. "It felt like someone grabbed my mind from the inside. I tried to stop. I did. But my legs kept walking." A chill swept through the crowd. Someone muttered, "Blood of Jesus." Another whispered, "That one person power." Zainab held Tunde's face gently. "But when you saw me, you answered. You called my name." He shook his head slowly. I didn't see you." His voice cracked. "I only saw him." Zainab's breath hitched. "Who?" Tunde pointed toward the railway path with a trembling hand. "The tall man." Her heart sank. Mama Funk backed away slightly, fear flickering across her face. "I don't like this. Oh. This one no normal." A younger man, holding a long stick, turned to the crowd. "Make we call police." Another man scoffed. "Police go do what?" "Take statement." "Write report." Abeg. Someone else suggested, "Call the mother." That jolted Zainab out of her trance. No. People turned toward her, startled by her sudden sharpness. "She's at the hospital," Zainab said breathlessly. "She's on night shift. She can't leave now. She can't hear this yet." The old man nodded slowly. "Let her breathe small first. Call 'em when everything calm." But nothing felt calm. Not in Zainab's chest. Not in the air around them. Something unseen still pressed on her skin, on her mind, like a weight she couldn't shake. She turned to Tunde again. "Do you feel anything now? Is he still calling you?" Tunde blinked, confused. Then he squeezed her hand tightly. No. I'm trying not to listen. Zainab's stomach dropped. Trying? He nodded. What do you mean trying? She whispered. He stared at the ground. Because sometimes I still hear it. Fear rippled across every adult face nearby. Memar Funk muttered, this thing no be for ordinary eye. We need pastor. The young man holding the stick scoffed. Pastor Ku? Me I say make we go there with torch and face whatever day there. If na person, we catch 'em. If na, he didn't finish. The look Zainab shot him made his bravado fade. Then suddenly a sharp crack split the night. The power came back. Lights burst across the street, illuminating faces, buildings, and the railway entrance in harsh white brightness. Everyone froze. Zainab's eyes shot toward the path. Nothing moved. But the sudden clarity made everything feel too exposed, too vulnerable, like the darkness had simply stepped farther back to study them from a safer vantage. People slowly began to disperse, murmuring and shaking their heads. Carry the boy go house. Give 'em warm water. Make dem pray. Zainab helped Tunde up, wrapping the borrowed wrapper tighter around him. His legs wobbled. She placed her arm around his waist as they walked back toward their building. Baba Khalil and Memar Funk followed closely, refusing to let the children walk alone. Inside the compound, neighbors who hadn't gone out earlier rushed toward them, voices layered with concern. Wetting happen? Is he okay? Who shout? But Zainab didn't answer. She didn't have the strength. They entered the apartment quietly. The lights flickered back on fully, humming softly. For the first time that night, Zainab felt the familiar comfort of home, but only for a moment. She guided Tunde to the couch. He sat heavily, his body sagging with exhaustion. Memar Funk placed a warm cup of tea in his hands. Drink. He nodded silently, his hands shaking as he brought the cup to his lips. Baba Khalil sat on the dining chair, leaning heavily on his cane. He looked at Zainab with tired, knowing eyes. My daughter, this thing that happened tonight, get story. I don't want story, Zainab whispered. I want to know why it happened. Why him? Baba Khalil sighed, his voice trembling with age. Some beings, they no choose randomly. They choose the ones we day listen too much. The ones with big imagination. The ones who wander. Zainab swallowed, glancing at Tunde. He had always been that child, curious, fearless, easily fascinated. Whistler no day come unless something invite him, the old man said softly. Something? Zainab whispered. Like what? He hesitated before answering. A promise. A fear. A dream. Or a weakness. Zainab felt her heart twist painfully. But why my brother? The old man didn't answer. Because he didn't know. Or because he didn't want to say the truth. Then Tunde spoke suddenly, his voice small. It's because of the whispering. Zainab's head snapped toward him. What whispering? He stared into his cup. The one I've been hearing every night. Zainab felt her body go cold. Tunde, what are you saying? He looked up, eyes wide and scared. I've been hearing it for weeks. She grabbed his shaking hands. Why didn't you tell me? Because I thought it was just in my head. What did it say? She whispered. Tunde closed his eyes. It said, come. Zainab felt the world tilt. Her throat tightened until she could barely breathe. She turned to the two adults for reassurance, for explanation, for anything, but their faces mirrored her horror. We need to pray, Memar Funk whispered. We need to do more than pray, Baba Khalil added darkly. Before Zainab could ask what that meant, a sudden knock hit the door. 3 sharp raps. Everyone froze. Another knock. Louder this time. Zainab's heart slammed into her ribs. She stepped backward instinctively, pushing Tunde behind her. Mama Funk held her breath. Baba Khalil clutched his cane. The third knock came, boom, boom, boom. Then a voice. A woman's voice. Soft. Familiar. Zainab. Open the door. It's me. Zainab gasped. Mummy. Her legs almost gave out in relief. She rushed to the door and opened it, but stopped halfway when she saw her mother's face. Or rather, the lack of expression on it. Her mother stood stiffly in the doorway, her hospital uniform wrinkled, her eyes blank like she wasn't fully inside her own body. Her lips trembled. Zainab whispered, Mummy. Her mother blinked slowly. Then she whispered something that made Zainab's blood freeze. I followed the whistle. For a long moment, no one in the room moved. Not even the air. Zainab's mother stood in the doorway like a shadow wearing her skin. Sweat clung to her forehead. Her eyes were wide and unfocused, like someone who had just woken from a nightmare she wasn't sure was over. Zainab stepped forward cautiously. Mummy, what do you mean? Her mother blinked again. Slow. Heavy. As if every movement strained her bones. They heard something in the hospital compound, she whispered. A whistle. Faint, but clear. It came from the back gate. Tunde whimpered behind Zainab. She felt his fingers twist into the hem of her shirt. Zainab swallowed. So you came home? Her mother shook her head, her voice trembling. No. I walked toward it. The adults exchanged pale, terrified looks. Zainab stared at her mother in disbelief. You left the hospital? Alone? At night? I didn't know I was walking, her mother whispered. My legs were moving on their own. Just like her gaze drifted to Tunde. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. The room tightened with fear. Mama, Baba Khalil said gently, come inside. Sit down. Breathe small. She stepped in slowly, her movements stiff, like someone wading through thick water. Zainab shut the door quickly as if that thin wooden barrier could protect them from whatever lurked outside. Her mother sank onto the couch beside Tunde. She grabbed his hands, rubbed them between hers as tears filled her eyes. I thought I lost you, she whispered. I thought something had taken you. I'm here, Tunde mumbled, leaning into her. I'm here, Mummy. Zainab felt her heart clench painfully. But before relief could settle, her mother's voice cracked with fear. I wasn't the only one who heard it. Zainab stiffened. Who else? Her mother wiped her face, trembling. The security guard at the back gate. 2 nurses. A patient from Ward C. All of them. They stopped what they were doing and walked toward the sound. Mama Funk gasped. Hey! So the thing day reached that side too? Her mother nodded slowly. It's spreading. A heavy silence fell. Zainab felt her throat close. Mummy, did you see anything? Anyone? Her mother's fingers trembled. I saw a shape. Tall. Not moving. Just standing in the dim light. She swallowed hard. At the rail line behind the hospital. Zainab felt her stomach twist. The railway. Again. I blinked, her mother whispered. And when I opened my eyes, I was standing outside our compound. Which means, Baba Khalil murmured, that thing day follow you come. God forbid. Mema Funk snapped, crossing herself furiously. Not in my presence. But her voice shook, she was terrified too. Zainab looked toward the door even though it was shut. A strange uneasiness prickled her skin. Not from outside. From inside. The apartment suddenly felt too small. Too silent. Too aware. Her mother rubbed her temples. Where exactly did you find Tunde? Inside the railway path, Zainab said quietly. He was standing, staring at something. The memory stabbed her like a blade. Something tall. Her mother flinched. Don't describe it. Zainab fell silent. Her breath shuddered. Then Tunde spoke again. It wasn't just looking at me. Everyone turned to him. He stared at the floor, voice thin as smoke. It was waiting for me. Zainab grabbed his arm. Don't say that. It's true, he whispered. It didn't chase me. It didn't touch me. It just waited. Like it already knew I was coming. Zainab's mother wrapped her arms around him protectively. But then Tunde's gaze drifted upward, past them, toward the window. His breath hitched. Mummy, he whispered. It's outside. The room froze. Zainab's skin went cold. Tunde. Look at me. Don't look there. But he didn't blink. His eyes stayed fixed on the slightly open curtain, on the darkness behind it. Tunde, Baba Khalil said, voice firm, wetting you see? The boy's lips trembled. It's standing by the big tree. A wave of icy dread washed over the adults. The big tree stood directly across from their building, illuminated by the compound light. Zainab moved to the window before anyone could stop her. She pulled back the curtain just a little. And her heart nearly stopped. The tall figure stood perfectly still under the tree. Its limbs long and narrow as if carved from shadow. Its posture rigid. Its head tilted slightly, as though listening. And even though there was no wind, its coat fluttered gently. A soft whistle drifted through the air again. Zainab stumbled backward with a choked sound. The curtain fell shut. Her mother grabbed her. What did you see? Zainab shook her head violently. Tears blurred her vision. It's real. It's right outside. It's watching the building. Tunde began to cry. It's calling me again. Don't listen. Zainab cried, shaking him lightly. Don't listen, Tunde. I'm trying, he sobbed. His mother cupped his face, whispering prayers desperately. But the whistle grew louder. Clearer. Impossible to ignore. Mama Funk cried out. Why the thing come house? Because, Baba Khalil whispered, it didn't get what it wanted earlier. A shiver stabbed Zainab. It wants Tunde, she whispered. No, her mother snapped. It cannot have him. But the whistle kept threading through the air, sneaking into their ears like smoke slipping under a door. Zainab's mother pressed her hands over Tunde's ears, but he squeezed his eyes shut and shook his head violently. It's still there, he cried. I can hear it inside my head. Something in Zainab snapped. Fear morphed into rage. Why him? She shouted, her voice breaking. Why my brother? Why our family? Her mother's face crumpled. Because I should have told you the truth years ago. The room fell silent. Zainab stared at her. What truth? She whispered. Her mother looked down, her fingers trembling around Tunde's hands. There is a story in our family, she whispered. A curse. A warning. A promise someone made long before you were born. Mummy, Zainab demanded, what promise? Her mother swallowed hard. It started with your grandfather, she said in a shaky whisper. He was the first to hear the whistle. A loud bang hit the door. Everyone screamed. Tunde clung to Zainab. Another bang, harder, like someone pressing their full weight against it. Zainab's mother grabbed both children, pulling them toward the hallway. But then the voice came again. Soft. Calling. Open the door. Tunde cried harder. It wants me. Zainab shook him. Don't move. Don't listen. Then, silence. Total, suffocating silence. Not a breath from outside. Not a footstep. Not even the humming of the bulb. The sudden quiet was worse than the noise. Zainab looked around the room, terrified. Did it leave? She whispered. No, Baba Khalil said, voice trembling. His eyes were fixed on the window. It entered. Tunde's scream pierced the air. The scream ripped through the room like lightning splitting a tree. Tunde jerked backward, his arms flailing as if something pulled him from behind. Zainab grabbed him, her nails digging into his shirt, refusing to let go, even as her heart thundered painfully against her ribs. Tunde, she cried. Stay with me. Look at me. But his eyes were fixed on someone, behind them. Zainab's mother spun around. The tall figure stood inside the sitting room. No sound. No footsteps. No door opening. It was simply there. Its head was bent unnaturally low to fit the ceiling, tilted in that same listening posture. The long coat fluttered even though the air was still. Its shadow stretched across the floor like spilled ink, reaching toward Tunde's feet. Everyone froze. Even their fear held its breath. Then the whistle came again, but this time it wasn't from outside. It vibrated inside the walls, in the floor, in their bones. A slow, haunting pull that dragged at their thoughts, at their minds, at their memories. Zainab's mother stepped forward, shaking. Leave my son, she whispered. You have no right. The figure turned its head toward her. Very slowly. Very deliberately. And even though it had no eyes, she knew it was looking directly at her. Take me, she said, her voice cracking. I am the one your promise was made with. I am the one who broke it. Mummy, no. Zainab sobbed, clutching Tunde tightly. The coat stopped fluttering. The whistle softened. The entire room stilled. Her mother continued, tears streaming. Your grandfather made a vow to protect our bloodline from your call. But I broke it the day I ignored the warnings. The day I stepped into the rail line to search for Aomide. The name cut through the air like a blade. Zainab gasped. Aomide. The brother she never met. The brother no one spoke about. Her mother's voice trembled. He didn't run away. He didn't get lost. He heard the whistle, and I was too late to pull him back. Her legs shook. I thought I escaped it forever. I thought losing him was the end. But it followed us. It waited. The figure lifted one bony arm and pointed slowly at Tunde. For the next son, her mother whispered. No. Zainab screamed, stepping in front of her brother. You can't have him. You can't touch him. You can't take any of us. The figure paused. The shadow on the floor recoiled slightly. For the first time, it hesitated. Zainab's rage surged through her like fire burning away fear. My family has suffered enough. We have lost enough. If you want someone, take me instead. Tunde gasped. No. Zainab, no. But she stepped forward anyway, fists clenched, tears streaming, voice shaking but defiant. I'm the eldest now. I'm the one who protects him. So if you must take someone tonight, if you must carry any soul back to the rail line, take me. The whistle stopped instantly. Silence swallowed the air. The figure froze. It tilted its head again, studying her, its shadow sliding back slowly as if retreating from her conviction, her fire, her refusal. Then, the coat stilled. The room darkened. And the tall figure lowered its hand. Zainab held her breath. A long, breathless pause stretched between them. Then the figure stepped backward, motionless glide, no footsteps until it reached the wall. And passed through it. Like smoke dissolving into the night. The lights flickered. The air snapped. Then everything was still. Tunde collapsed into Zainab's arms, sobbing. She held him tight, her whole body shaking as relief, shock, and exhaustion crashed through her. Their mother sank to the floor, covering her mouth as silent cries shook her shoulders. Baba Khalil whispered prayers under his breath. Mama Funk grabbed the children, clutching them like salvation itself. Thank God, she breathed. Thank God. Oh, but Zainab wasn't done listening. She strained her ears toward the night. Nothing. No whistle. No footsteps. No presence. Just the distant hum of Lagos returning to itself. She pulled Tunde closer. It won't come back, she whispered, more a promise than a belief. Not while I'm here. Tunde nodded into her shoulder, trembling. Outside, the street lights flickered again, but only once. The night exhaled. And Zainab knew one thing with absolute certainty. This story would never be told in whispers again. It would be told out loud. So no one else waits for someone who never comes home. If you enjoyed this story and want more African tales like this, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment telling us your favorite moment, and subscribe to Stefano's African Story Hub for more gripping stories every week.